Hey there folks, Redshirts here with a new cut and a new game review for you, this time faefarm. Faefarm is a magical farming simulator, very reminiscent of games like Stardew Valley, maybe Harvest Moon. There's a lot of these kind of games out here right now, but faefarm seems to be able to differentiate a bit from it, not by doing a lot of new stuff, but combining stuff very well, and giving you a lot, and I mean a lot to do in this game. Let's dive in, shall we? First of all, starting faefarm, the story you get into is basically you want to go to an island to start helping, start farming, start doing something. You go towards said island, encounter some whirlpools, and you are stranded there. Not completely unfortunate, but not the best situation to be in. You get welcomed by the mayor of the town, who promptly points you over to your designated farming location, since you're stuck here anyway, and from there on out you are free to explore quite a bit. There is some missions that you get along the way, main story missions and side missions, which I do recommend you do pick up as much as possible, because the game really explains a lot of the mechanics through them, especially at the start. But basically what you can do is you can create items on your farm. You can create plots to grow stuff in, different kind of vegetables, fruits, stuff like that, who all have their own seasons to grow in, but due to some magical mulch, magical, I forgot the name, manure, stuff like that, you can also either grow them in other seasons or completely transform them all together while they are growing. In the typical farming sim fashion, you water them, you make sure that nothing happens to it, and they grow up, you harvest them, sell them, stuff like that. Nothing new there. It works well. You do not have to mess around with complicated control, so it's pretty straightforward there. Same for an animal control. So far I have had a few animals, but besides petting them, brushing them, getting them some food, and making sure they have space to walk around, nothing too big there. Also get some stuff from that. Eggs, cotton is a weird combination of stuff, but it's magical creatures as well, so nothing very weird there. And after a little while, you'll notice that in the entirety of the island you are on, you cannot go everywhere, because you encounter stuff like thorns and other things. During one of your quests, you come across the local wizard, who gives you a magical staff. After a little while, that is, after you feed him, that gets you to be able to destroy those thorns, making you be able to go at least to a lot of places, not everything just yet. This staff, however, is also very important for the rest of the story. When you start your farm, you get some basic farming tools, which you can upgrade with metals you can find later on. But this staff can only be upgraded with some extra magic and abilities once you save some sprites from across the island. 3 of which are, as far as I can see, in a cavern somewhere, and 1 you meet along the way from the storyline. Also, things like magical potions can help you there, but that's a whole different story altogether as well. After you get the staff and you break out through the thorns, you find places like the, first of all, saltwater caverns, the first one you come across, which is basically a mine cavern dungeon location. You go in, you harvest stuff, iron, clay, stone. You also fight monsters that you find there, and you go floor after floor after floor. Very reminiscent again of Stardew Valley and several other of these games, but somehow this one works a bit better. There has to be you have to do a little bit more work to get through it, because you can only teleport to the next level. You can skip through things after you've made certain seals with some minerals and metals, so you can like go in there in one go and go through it once. But if you want to go back to the last level, you got to go all the way back and put in the right seals in the right location. So it takes a bit more than your basic Stardew Valley to get to the bottom. It's not too hard, but it gives it a bit of an extra thing to do. Besides that, there's a lot to craft, a lot to build, a lot to harvest, farm, and stuff like that. Like any good farming simulator, you can also interact with the townsfolk, which you can have relationships, friendships, and even marry one. I'm not certain if you can marry more than one, but let's say you can marry one if you want to. It's quite a big story you go through, and there's a lot of stuff, like as well as magical potions and stuff you can craft yourself at a certain point. So it is a very, very wholesome, very fun, graphically very good looking game, which also runs very good on the Steam Deck, by the way. I've had quite a few hours into this game solely on Steam Deck, which is great because I love this kind of games just before bedtime. Yeah, it is a very good, very fun game. And I would recommend if you are very much into the either magical cutesy games or farming simulator games. Well, I say sim, but you know what I'm talking about when you see the gameplay here. Then I would suggest picking this up because it's a very fun time. Also includes multiplayer, which I have not been able to try out, unfortunately. But yeah, I can only guess that the multiplayer portion of this would make this 1,000 times better. So if you got the time, if you got the interest, don't skip over this one. So, have fun with faefarm. Bye.